Hello. Hey guys, how are you doing? We're going to be making this something like this. Not exactly this, but yeah, something like this. So let me just start a new project and get right away. I'm going to be mostly using Photoshop for the texturing because that makes it easier. Hello there. Yeah, so let me maybe also just have this on my. I got the image from TurboSquid and hello Pycho. Hello 3D animation geek. Okay, let's do this. So it's just creating a high-tech scene here. So let's begin right away by designing the room. I'm going to use the bevel tool, the bevel modifier a lot here, just so we can get those rounded corners. So let's just start with the layout of the room. We need shadows, just need cavity. So let's begin with something simple. Just going to apply the scale here, reduce the width just a bit, move my camera inside the room, we increase my view angle to about 25. Let me give this wall a simple material. Can add, still trying to get the layout of the room, how the room is going to be shaped, and my composition here. So you just used bevel on a plane. Yes, I just added a bevel modifier on the plane so that I can get these rounded corners. So if I had in normals here, I can auto smooth this so that they're even more smooth. Just going to add a window here, something similar to this with those angled edges. So I think if I select this and use Ctrl Shift B, I can bevel that so that I get that kind of angled edge. Then maybe add another one here, something like that. I can also maybe select these, just round them just a bit, and also round these corners. I'm using Ctrl Shift B for that, and then extruded that. Then yes, yeah, I extruded that to get these rounded corners. So now if I extrude this, you can see how that looks. I'm also going to change my bevel limit method to angle so that I don't bevel all the edges, but only so that I limit the bevel to just yeah. So you can see that this window has a frame to it. So I'm just going to separate this so that this is glass, and I'll just create a new material for it, call it glass. I'll give it a transmission value, also an alpha value. I'll reduce the roughness. Then let's add some scratches to the wing. I'm just going to isolate it for a second here. So find texture, image texture. I have some scratch textures here, so let me use those. So if I connect these to the roughness, just need to UV unwrap this, and you can see we have some scratches. You can add a math node here, just control how much of those scratches you want. Now to be a little bit detailed here, I'm going to add a loop in here, Ctrl B, bevel that, and then extrude using Alt E, so that we have that kind of depth into that. Also just going to pull this, scale it out, just reset the origin. Pile 33 Eevee is freaking me out with a glitch on reflections and with glossy materials and HDRI images. I'm not sure what glitch you're talking about. Maybe if you send us a screenshot, if you can send a screenshot, maybe I can see if I can help you with that. So you can also go to the render settings, down screen space reflections and also refractions here, and on the material here you can change the blend mode to auto blend so that the glass is see-through. Now let's work maybe on a table. Let's start adding some details for the table here. For the table, let's add a plane. Again, we can add the bevel modifier and scale it on the y-axis, something like that. What I'm going to do is also add a solidify modifier to this so that we give it some thickness, and also have this solidify modifier above the bevel so that the bevel is applied to this solidify modifier as well. So I'm just going to reduce the offset just a bit, down on hardness, and then auto smooth like that. Now let's start designing our table. Again, we want that high-tech feel, so I'm just going to add a loop here, bevel that, then add another loop here, and I can delete this face here, scale this so that we get something like that, and we want the same rounded corners like we had for that. So I'm just going to bevel that. If you see that when you bevel the edge, Ctrl Shift B, you get a non-even bevel, just apply the scale first. Pachev, could you make a live stream on modeling a character? Yeah, I'm not very good at character modeling, so nah. So let's do that. The thickness is a bit too high, so let me just reduce that. Also, think I can just select these edges, extrude them down. Maybe, remember we're trying to create a high-tech table, so angled edges are our friend. Power 3. Practically, I have an unwanted realistic black shadow of the same object. See the image. So let me just select this, control bevel that, so that is a slanting edge like that. I'm also going to just reduce the thickness again just a bit. Make sure I have even thickness, and also change the limit method to angled like that. So this is going to be our table. Maybe I can also curve this around here. So this is going to be our table. Now we can also add in that glass area. So for that, I'm just going to select parts of this. Say I want part of this to be glass, so I'm just going to cut. Let me first isolate this. I'm going to cut just around here and here, and have that as glass. Maybe this should also angle around there. So all this should be glass. Let me see how many. Let me see. So many new useful add-ons for Blender in the last week so far. Yeah, there's always a new update for Blender, so it's always exciting to watch those Blender Today videos. Let me bevel this just a bit, round off that corner as well. maybe actually no that, so let me just select this. So all of this is going to be glass, so I'm just going to separate it into its own object. So maybe reduce its thickness and the bevel as well. Can you use screenshot keys? Yeah, I could. Let me see if I can find the add-on. High tech. I just call this high tech. Are you into low poly or high poly? It depends on what I'm doing, you know, because most of the models I make, I just sell them on platforms like CG Trader and TurboSquid. So depends on what is selling most there. That's what I get into mostly. So I also want this to be glass, so I'll just give it the glass material. But remember, this is going to be our screen. So Ashton Hunter, how are you? No, we have just started the stream. So let me just unwrap this, and we can start working on those the interface here. I'm not going to do too much work here. I'm just going to find designs, HUD designs. And go into Photoshop and start tweaking them just a bit, so that we don't spend too much time working on that. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, this is a nice interface. So then we can just come into Photoshop. First, remove this. How long is this stream going to be? That depends, because it's let export the UV layout to Photoshop. So let me create a new project, open a new project here. Just need to find what is it called, high tech. Show anything shouldn't be showing, but anyway, so let's start planning this out. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of your time designing these. I'm just going to read them directly from the internet, so see how they will fit into our interface. Let's going to have this as a black and white image, and let's set a blending mode of these for this to be screen. I'm using 2.8 let's see how this would look. JPEG has a lot of compression, so if you want to retain the details, you want to export as PNG, it saves a lot of details. So let's see how this looks. So let's go back to layout and bring in that image. Let's go into isolate to duplicate the material here. Let me find the texture we have just made. So it was under I take this here. So this is what we have so far. It has all the colors and everything. I just want to have some transparency from this. So if I add a convert color ramp, I will convert this into a black and white image. But if you add a convert math node and change the operation to greater than, it should separate, it should give you a full black and white image. You just have to play with these values here. You know what, let me just use the color ramp to cut out some of the details. Okay. Now we can use this as the alpha mask, and yeah, and the emission mask as well. So let's first see what's going on here. You can see what we're having. We're having double reflections here, and I think the reason for that is that is because of this subdivision surface modifier. So we can turn that off so that we only get but the problem is we are losing a lot of reflections because of this, because the black areas are just fully transparent, and we want to have some bit of opacity so that we capture some of the reflections. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a color mix RGB and feed this into our factor so that, let's see, the blue areas are going to be a bit reflective and transparent like you see here, and those lines, the white areas, let me just change them to red, are going to be our emissive areas. So this should help me control the alpha much easily. So let's preview this again. If you look closely, you can see that we are already seeing some bit of reflections. So Pile 33, don't you use GIMP? No, I don't. I have not tried it, but I think I should start using it since it's a free program. So now we can control the reflections here, and I think I should also be using this for the roughness as well, and the emission. So let me just duplicate this like this. This is going to be our emission. You can see we are starting to see some details. Pachev, sorry if I'm butchering your name. Yeah, nice to be for coming around. It's okay. See you when you're here. Aston Hunter, Krita also works really well. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't tried it out, unfortunately. So if you can see that we're starting to see our interface or our HUD, but it's not coming out very much. So if I want it to be more powerful, I'll just increase the value here to something like 10. You can see it's popping out now. Just have to play with the contrast just a bit here. Okay. It would be much better if you design your own, you make your own designs so that you get a PNG image with transparency, so that you don't have to deal with these issues here. Because you can see I just got these directly from the internet. Maybe you can just edit them a little bit here so that we lose some of the details we have. Okay, now that would work far better than what we had. And for this here, actually I want this to be, this here to be on this side here. Also, Inkscape is pretty useful to make pieces, precise curves, and it's perfectly importable in Blender. Yeah, there are a lot of things to free tools to use. I just use Photoshop because I'm more familiar with it, and yeah, so I want this here, this to be down here. So let's scale it down. Now I think I need to increase the resolution of this image. Just going to double it, so that is a 2K image, so 2048 by 2048. I shouldn't have rasterized this image here, but that's okay. Let's find another image to use here. Again, it would be better to make your own designs so that they higher resolution, but if we did that, it would take us way more time to get anything done. So we're just going to cheat a bit here and use other people's work. Just for creating the concept, and then later you can work on your own designs. So okay, nice job. Your workflow is impressively rapid. Congrats. Thank you. I just like to do rapid prototyping so that I don't waste a lot of time on a project I won't complete. Because I've seen myself work on a lot of things that I end up just abandoning because it was too much work than I expected. So when you just do this quickly, you can decide whether you want to complete the project or not without spending too much work on it. Let's see. Screen. This should also be set to screen. Now we need to hide our layout. Power 33, thank you for being around. I'll see you next time. So after we save, just make sure it's saved. Just have to select the image and hit Alt R to reload that image. You can see what we have. It's going to now we have our interface. Let me turn on my ambient occlusion. Hello, green light. This is coming out great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's work on this table so that we get some nice reflections on it. So I'm just going to add texture. Again, I like using some scratches to get some rough textures onto the table. So let's get something like this. See what we are having. Just going to use object coordinate mapping. Whenever you're using object coordinate mapping, you need to change the projection to box so that the texture is projected from everywhere. Green light, thank you. Let's just move this here. Add a convert car ramp to control the roughness just a bit, and add this to the roughness. can see now how we are capturing some of the details. I'm not sure if this is coming out with the YouTube compression and what, but I think this is looking okay. Now we can start adding these other effects here. I don't know, maybe let's also work on the ground here, on the floor here, so that we get some details on that as well. We can bring in some lighting now to our scene. So I'm going to create some panels here, and also want them to look a bit sci-fi. So let me just select this, and you can copy over the modifiers you have on one object to another. So if you select this, I want to copy the solidify modifier and the bevel modifier we have already set for this. I'm just going to select this plane and then this, then use the shortcut Ctrl L to link the modifiers, and you can see now we have the modifiers copied over to this. Just want to create some lighting. Just going to bevel this, something like that. So this should be our lights. I take lights, so I'm just going to select this, give it a new material. Remember to turn on auto smooth. So this is going to have an emissive material. So let's first see how this is going to fit into our scene. Let's get it up here. These are going to be ceiling lights, somewhere like that, and we can add an array modifier. This is now we just need to apply the material. So this is going to, I'm just going to give this blue emissive light, just increase the value here to something like 2, something like that, and this other side I'm just going to give it a regular material, non-emissive material. I should be naming these materials so that they're easier for me to select. I think this is protruding out too much, so let me push it back just a bit. And remember, in EV, the emission material doesn't really emit any light, so we need to supplement it with some actual lights. So I'm going to add a point light here and see how that looks. So around there, make sure under shadow you turn on contact shadows so that we get some nice contact shadows. I'm also going to duplicate this light a few times using Alt D so that I make instances of that light, so that in case I want to change the light, I only have to change one, and the changes are repeated over the other lights. So this is what we have for the light, and maybe I can let me get back to this. I can duplicate this for the wall, take this 90 degrees, again we're just using this as inspiration, we're not copying exactly what we're seeing. And I can just bring this up a bit, and you can use Shift R to repeat any action over and over. And this is what we have, and bring it up just like that. Now we can also start working on this hovering interface. So and I found an easier way to do this for this cylinder as well, and it should give us the same effect. So let's just scale this up, maybe something like that. Just going to add a seam here, and then unwrap, and then I'm going to link it to the material we're using here. Let me see what we have. Okay, but we need to go to UV mapping. Just see, let's make sure everything aligns correctly. But we're seeing this kind of black area, so I'm just going to duplicate these materials and make my alpha mask a bit harsh. Let me see. Yeah, I just want it to be very clear. Maybe I don't also want this to be too harsh, the lighting to be too harsh, so I'm just going to fade that. Maybe let me just reduce the emissiveness here. Mosolo Sosen, sorry if I'm butchering your name. Hi, impressive stuff as usual. Could you enable poly count display by any chance? It should be. You should be able to see it. It's around here. I'm not sure how any other way, if I can display it in any other way. Is there a way to have it by always by default? I'm not sure. So have that screen. I think we can also get a projection of the globe in here. So let me just go Earth projection, something like this. Let's see what would work best here. So I think if we get something like I think anything could work. We just have to mix it with other maps. So if I get something like, let me just look at my reference image here. Something like this. So let me save that. And I think it's called half tone pattern. I'm not sure which one to use. Maybe this one could be great. So we're going to mix, actually, let's, okay, this is copyrighted. Let's find something that is not copyrighted. Something like that. Or this here. Okay, this is good. And yeah, let's use those. So for the globe, let's add a sphere. Like that. Shade smooth. I think This one is already UV unwrapped. So what we're going to do, let me isolate this for a second. Put a new material. This is the best live stream. Thank you, man. Thank you. Let's add a texture, image texture, and let's find the textures we have just downloaded. One was for the globe. Let me find that. Did I save these? Okay, now that one has an issue, so let's just find another Earth projection map. Projection. Let's find a different image. If you want to download non-copyright images, you can just click on tools and then I select usage rights. But I'm just prototyping, so I'm not worried about that. So let's select this, go with this here. Hopefully this works. Yeah, and I just drag that directly into this folder. Now let's get our halftone image. So I downloaded two, so I'm just going to get that, and this is so needed for me to learn. Thank you. Okay, and this here, let's first preview this. So this is our halftone. Not sure why it's showing up like that. Let's scale it down. Interesting, it's not rendering as I expected. Let's see if I apply this to a plane. Let me first turn off screen space reflections. This halftone is not rendering as I expected, but let's see. Let's try out this here. Okay, this map is showing exactly as I wanted, and this is also okay, except the details are too large. So let's scale that down. You know what? I'm okay with this pattern. Maybe let's scale this a bit. I'm okay with this pattern, and what we're going to do is mix it or subtract it from this here. So we can just actually just use this directly into the alpha, and if I turn on alpha blend for the blending mode, you might have to turn off show back face. And we might also want to invert this mask. So we have something like this, and this can be our base color now. And see, we're starting to see some detail, but we also want this to be our emission color. But I think this has a lot of color information that is not matching our scene. So what I'm going to do is have it go through a color ramp and just remap the colors we're using here. So let me first preview this only. Let's add a few notes. I just want to colorize it. Something like that. Then I can how that go through the emission and also through the base color. And to make this value pop, I'm just going to add a color, hue and saturation, and set the value to something like 4 so that this pops. And what I'm also going to do, because we're missing some details here and here, I'm just going to reuse this here, Shift D, then add a mix node, have this upper side. I'm using the same image, just change the blending mode to multiply, and just offset I think the Z value like that, so that we get a little bit more detail in other areas like that. Now we can use that as the mask. I'm not very happy with how these tones are coming out. Let's try this here. I think this looks better here. So let's just use that. If we're using that, we don't even have to reuse it here. So you can just feed that directly into the alpha map. Now the color is still off. So let me just change it. You can see how it's starting to come up.